Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
Literally a guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that perfect lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Oh no. Yeah, everyone, welcome to F3, and yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Of course, you may know me from the F5 streams, and also Mackie from his debut in France as well. But yeah, we're here to cover F3 here today. Unfortunately, Josh and his co-com aren't here to cover this evening's action. As Mackie said before he realised he was muted, we are around Baku this evening, a very technical, very, very twisty circuit, and surely one where the drivers need to keep their wits about them to make sure that they can get through the walls of Azerbaijan as safely as possible. Of course, I'm very good myself, Mackie, thank you for asking, but how are you on this Thursday evening?
Hey, look, I'm doing absolutely fine. You should be able to hear both of us now. That was completely my bad. I broke everything just as we went live, but everything's okay. We've got a thrilling race ahead of us. Of course, the Baku circuit, known for being a street circuit you can overtake on, thankfully. So it should be a good, interesting race. Of course, you've got the castle section that narrows you down a little bit, gives you the opportunity to follow the car in front. You don't send it through the castle section. You're gonna it will end in disaster pretty much.
Yeah, it certainly will. This circuit, of course, holds the longest pit straight. I think it's saying like 2.1 kilometers straight, and it's going to be an interesting race. Of course, the first overall objective is to finish and keep it out of the walls, obviously, but making your way up through the order, as you said, it's a bit easier for a street circuit around Baku, especially in that first sector, where, of course, you have the 2 DRS straights of going down into turn 1 and then into turn 3 as well. And then it all narrows up in that middle part of the lap. Then you have that sort of wider final sector, which sets you up for the run down to turn 1. So it's going to be interesting to see. Of course, you've got many drivers still fighting for the championship. How risky will they be with some of their moves here this evening? And you've still even got the drivers that don't really have anything to go for. They'll be going all guns blazing, trying to get as many points as they can before the end of the season. And they want a race win in these last 4 rounds. So they'll be pushing for it. You've got the championship protagonists as well involved. It's going to be an interesting one. And I can't wait to get this one underway, because Baku always delivers brilliant racing, Mackie. And it should do again here this evening.
And as I've just realised, the camera has slightly broken. Try and fix that. And while I'm doing that, do you want to go through the driver standings for me, Max?
Yes, I certainly can. So, your driver standing here after 7 rounds of 11 here in PSGL F3 goes as follows. Daniele Parodi leads the way with 56 points over Riccardo Benzoni with 46, 10 points separating the two. 3 points back from Riccardo, it's Tony Ritchie, followed by Matthew Alder and then Nando Maria. 6th place is Timur Zelenkovic, followed by Thomas Lanneman, and then Modesto Mina, in 8th place. You've got Bogdan Moldovan in 9th, Simone Violo in 10th, rounding out your top 10, and then the rest of your points scorers go as follows. It's Legend Rosenberg in 11th, followed by Valentino Labella in 12th, 16 Lionheart in 13th, Ivan Santamaria 14th, Louis Valentin in 15th, Black Box is in 16th, and then it's Alexander Dimas, Richard Sprugis, Tom Roberts, Supis Kovanian, I think that's how you say his name, JSD, Andreas Franco, and an Elliot Noren down in 23rd rounds out your point scorers here in PSGL F3. So 23 drivers scoring points so far this season. Mackie, I would say that's quite respectable, and overall shows how competitive this grid can be.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, there's still a huge battle going on for the championship lead with 4 races left in this season. Only 10 points in it at the top, and of course with a win being worth 16, it is still all to play for. And just before we get into qualifying here, let's have a quick look at what our constructors standings look like. It's going to be, for your constructors, it's going to be Ferrari out there on top with 73 points. Williams in second with 65 points, and it goes all the way down to 52 points for McLaren in third. Aston Martin sitting fourth with 48, but tied with Mercedes, who are in fifth. Alpine with 44 points. Sauber with 36 points sat in seventh. AlphaTauri with 33 in eighth. Ninth is Red Bull with 29, and Haas only able to score 7 points so far in the season. Let's see if their luck can change as things continue on.
Yeah, hopefully for Haas that these next 4 rounds are big point scoring opportunities can arise for them, because being bottom of that list, getting that wooden spoon is not really what they want, but a big 22-point deficit they need to find to their closest competitor of Red Bull, with Legend Rosenberg and Black Box fielding their cars here in F3. But still, we're about to get underway into qualifying this evening. It's going to be a very, very exciting one. Actually, no, sorry, we're waiting for Simone Violo to pick his car. But a little bit about Baku. Of course, it's a very, very tight and twisty circuit. 20 corners, 8 to the right, sorry, and 12 to the left. 6.003 kilometers, 3.730 miles. We have 26 laps here this evening, which give us a total race length of 156.078 kilometers. The lap record is held by Charles Leclerc back in 2019 for 1 minute 14.3.009. Most wins, of course, is Sergio Perez, the man of Azerbaijan, scored many a podium in his Force India days, and now scoring 2 wins here for Red Bull. And then the debut race was all the way back in the 17th of June 2016, won by Nico Rosberg, which drivers actually said was a very uneventful Grand Prix for a circuit that looks so challenging. The year after certainly delivered. Hopefully we can have a race that delivers like 2017 here Mackie. It's going to be an exciting one, and with a short qualifying coming up, hopefully within the next 30 seconds or so, we should really be in for an eventful, not only qualifying, but race as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely one that you want to stay on watch. Of course, with that championship still being all up for grabs here in F3. And I mean, I think DRS is going to be one of the biggest players in this race. Azerbaijan is definitely known for the DRS trains. I've noticed it in the real life F1. I've noticed it in other league races I've commentated as well. It becomes a huge deal, those DRS trains you do get stuck in, and you kind of don't really want to be leading it. You're just constantly on defensive. You're constantly worrying about it. But we should be getting into our qualifying session just momentarily now, Max, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Oh, so am I as well. Baku is always a lap which you want to hook up. It's one of the best, really, to hook up on the game, especially heading through that middle sector and that castle section, where if you get it right, it is so rewarding. So this qualifying session, it's a very important one. Probably not the most important out of all street circuits, but it's still a very crucial one, especially if you're in that championship fight. So for the likes of that top 4 in the standings of Daniele, Ricciardo, Tony and Matthew Alder, that qualifying 13 points separating them is going to be so crucial. Threat of rain is always about here in Baku. Of course, you can see some wet weather lobbies every so often. But we're into qualifying now. Now it is crunch time for these drivers. All their practice that they've put in over the past week comes down to this. We'll see who will come out on top in qualifying and give them the best opportunity of winning this Grand Prix. First driver out on the circuit seems to be the AlphaTauri of, if I can find him, it's Bogdan Moldovan to be the first driver out on the circuit, and hopefully will be the first driver to be setting a lap time in this session.
Yeah, absolutely. AlphaTauri driver isn't wasting any time on this outlap at all. We're already trying to build a gap to those behind, while they all have a battle for some track position, which is also important around street circuits such as Baku. And I'm just going to wait now. We'll see how fast this outlap is, how quickly they want to get around, and how quickly these first laps are going to be set. Of course, we expect to see maybe some banker laps here. This is a track where a banker lap can totally save your session. So we'll see if we see banker laps, or whether they go straight into it, Max.
Yeah, I mean, bankers are somewhat just to fill your way around the circuit and overall make sure your setup is all functional. That first lap, you really just want to get the lap on the board. That's really what you want to do around Baku, is get that lap in. So if you push too hard over the next 2 laps, you at least have one to fall back on. So you go about 75% on this first run of qualifying. You don't push all the way to the limit, but you leave a little bit of room on the table to overall find in the next parts of qualifying. But Bogdan Moldovan is about to get underway. He's about to enter the final 2 corners of the circuit and get this qualifying session well underway. Everybody out on the circuit but Modesto Mina, and we have 19 cars at the moment ready to tackle this circuit for their first runs of qualifying. Here comes Bogdan Moldovan then, in his AlphaTauri, heading down that main straight. DRS open, you head down into turn 1, keep it to that right-hand side. You're braking just before the 100-meter board, getting the car turned out into 4th gear, and then run the curb on the exit. Then into turn 2, braking in that gap between the barriers, down to 3rd gear, straight back on the power as early as possible. Make sure you don't understeer into that outside wall, which he doesn't, and it's a good opening start to this opening lap for Bogdan Moldovan. Down into turn 3, braking at 100 meters again, down to 4th gear, pinch it into the apex, run it out wide all the way to the wall, flick it back to the left-hand side to set yourself up for turn 4. A lot of natural understeer there. Very nicely done there from Bogdan as he exits the first sector split to 35.213 in that first sector. Through turns 5 and 6, nicely done there from the AlphaTauri man as he's heading up into turn 7. Try cut as much of this corner as possible, which he does very nicely and keeps it out that outside wall. Now into the castle section, you just want to be as precise as possible. Not 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12 as you then exit. Make sure you don't invalidate on the exit there. And now you head through 13, 14, and 15. And for Bogdan Moldovan, this has still been a very good and committed lap. Through 16, which then leads you down the hill into 17 in the middle sector split. He's been keeping it out the walls quite nicely here, has the AlphaTauri through 17. Now a bit of a slide on the exit, and then you head into 18 and 19. 18, then you lead into 19. Make sure you don't understeer into that outside barrier, which he doesn't, and then 20, just this little kink to the right to lead you down that main straight. But DRS will be open for Bogdan Moldovan. This is the lap time everybody needs to beat. This is the benchmark time. The AlphaTauri to the line. So 1 minute 39.605. Let's see if anybody can beat that. I reckon they will, as it has up to the line now. And there we go, straight away by Louis Valentin. It is a 1:38.683, nearly a whole second clear of Bogdan Moldovan. So obviously, the AlphaTauri just leaving a little bit of room on the table there on his opening run.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a pretty good first set of laps from a lot of these drivers. We've still got most of the grid yet to cross the line. Next to cross the line is not actually sure. Have a look. We've got a Red Bull coming across the line now. Crossing the line, it's going to be a 1 minute 39.8 for Reyes Imtiaz. Going 10th, that looks much more like a banker lap than a full flying lap to me. But I could be wrong. I could be mistaken. But also coming across the line, the line now, Tony Riche. Next one to cross the line, driving the Ferrari. looking to set that first lap time. It's going to be a 1:39.7. Again, I'm seeing these mid 1:39 to the high 1:39s, potentially banker laps, just making sure the setup is correct, as you rightly said earlier in the session. But already a really good time from Lewis Valentin, up there in first for 1:38.68.
Yeah, only 3 drivers so far into that 1:38. You got Louis Valentine, of course, the leader of the championship. Second place in the championship. Ricardo Benzoni in second place with 38.7, and then you got Timur Selenkovic in third with a 1:38.1. 0.814, sorry. And that really is, overall, those 3 drivers pushing it a bit more than the rest of the field. Of course, you do have Nando Maria and JST close to that 1:38 mark, but those top 3 really have pushed that one and got to the top into the 1:38. Matthew Older has actually been disqualified for parking in a dangerous location. So for a championship protagonist, that is very, very crucial. He's heading up the hill into the castle section. I don't know what's happened to him. That is a very confusing one there for Matthew Alder. I don't know if he's dropped it and had to stop and then try to do a 3-point turn out of that tightest part on the circuit, and unfortunately got that championship 4 already eliminated from qualifying. He'll be starting from the back. He's on level points with Tony Ritchie and is 13 points off your championship leader, and that could be very, very crucial for the Mercedes driver in the overall picture of the championship. But of course, this circuit can be very chaotic in the races, and we'll have to wait and see if he can make his way up through the order now. 4th in the standings, and needs a big points haul. But a qualifying like this, Mackie, means it's going to be even more tricky and even more difficult to stay in that championship fight.
Yeah, absolutely. It is certainly a potential problem for Matthew Alder down there in 20th, driving the Mercedes, of course. But hopefully something that doesn't cause too many problems in the race. Hopefully we can see some good race pace. And I think going into this qualifying session now, as we reach the dead periods that always happens with every qualifying session, as you don't really want to be on the alternate strategy. You don't get the track evolution if you only go for the 2 runs over the 3 runs, but you do get the clean air. So it's a hit and miss whether it's worth going for it or not. But on a track like Baku, I think that track evolution is just too valuable. Yeah,
track evolution is absolutely crucial and very, very valuable around a circuit like Baku as well, where, of course, it's a street circuit, so that track evolution is going to be a little bit more ramped up. But it mainly all comes down to that final run of qualifying. You're going to find time in that second run, obviously, due to how many drivers are out on the circuit at once. But it's that final run where the track is at its absolute peak, and it's all rubbered in, and it's perfect for you to just attack in the best conditions possible. A lot of these drivers now coming out for their second runs. Simone Violo is now coming through on his first flying lap through turn 7 now and into the castle section for the Sauber driver. Down through the castle section. Nicely done there from the Sauber driver. Very, very committed, very pinpoint, and very, very precise. So, for the Sauber man, he now needs to make it through 14 and 15 as he then goes on the brake just as the curb starts for 16. Get the car through, and nicely done there. A little bit of a slide on the exit, but nothing that's going to hinder his run too much down to 17. Get a good exit out of here, because this leads you down this straight, and it's all about that run out to that final corner. It will be the same for the race as well. If you get a poor exit out of there, you are going to be absolutely swallowed up by the cars behind. So here comes Simone Violo, the driver, yet to set a lap here in this session. The Sauber man coming up to the line. Where will this lap time put him? And he goes up into 4th place. A 4th driver into the 1:38.9. A very committed that time there from Simone. And still, I think a few more attempts left on the table there. It wasn't at 100% there. It was a bit scrappy from the Alfa Romeo Sauber. But here we go then. Louis Valentin is coming through into turns 7 and 8 now. He's currently on provisional pole. Can he extend that gap at the top by even more?
I mean, potentially, but also he has a lot of traffic in front of him as we go through this, entering this third sector. They're, of course, going to be given some blue flags, and the yellow flags are flying as they slow down, but already see it's caused an issue, and Louis Valentin has spun the Haas around, and that is going to be an unfortunate midsection to his qualifying, and Tima Zelenkovic picks up a 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking. Was that on to the Haas driver?
I think it was, yes, because Timor is the second of the Alpines, and I don't know if there's more contact that's been made. I just looked on board with the Alpine, but Louis is not very happy. He's gone to the inside of the Alpine before they get to that main straight. He's now got an Alfa Romeo Sauber in the way. I think that's of Simone Violo in 4th place. So for Zelenkovic, it has been a disastrous start to his second run of qualifying here. And the Alpine man is having to start this one off slightly on the back foot. Would have got a slipstream though from Simone Violo, but maybe had to lift off slightly in the process to make sure he doesn't run into the back of that Sauber. So there's a Mercedes heading around. That's Matthew Bassett. He's down in 17th place at the moment for 40.012. He's only up by 3/10 in that middle sector. So for Matthew Bassett, this has not been the greatest of runs. He's still pushing on here in his black Mercedes, heading through 18 and 19. Make sure he keeps it out that outside wall. And now we'll see how much he can improve by in this final sector. Did he just abort his last run, or was it just overall a very, very messy lap? We'll see. Matthew Bassett up to the line. Now, where does the Mercedes go? Only into 14th place. Only 2/10 found. A disastrous run there for Matthew Bassett. Stays below that top 10 split. Valentino Labella, he's up by 4/10 of a second as he's heading up to the line. There's also a Red Bull in front. That's Legend Rosenberg heading up into 4th place. Valentino across the line and up into 7th place as well. Of course, you need to be higher up for these final runs to put less pressure on you and to make sure that you can stay in that top 10. There's an Aston Martin coming up to the line. That is going to be of Nando Maria as he is in 6th place currently. Stays in 6th place as he crosses the line. You've got a Williams. I think that might be of Alexander Dimas. Yes, it is. He goes up into 11th place. Then the McLaren of Riccardo Benzoni. Your 2nd place in the championship goes up to the top of the times. A 1 minute 38.432, a healthy margin over Louis Valentin there. 2/10 of a second between the pair, and I think that might be it of your second runs of qualifying. It's Riccardo Benzoni with the upper hand here in that championship battle, and currently on provisional pole. That's exactly where he would want to be, Mackie, especially with his championship rival who's 10 points clear, only down in 9th place at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a lot of second runs there. Of course, at the start of that, we did see a couple of incidents where some people got slowed down. And I think even Timor here has picked up a 5-place grid penalty. So while sat in 3rd, effectively is currently sat 8th position, with everyone, the 5 below that, being moved up 1 position. So definitely something there for everyone to improve on. Riccardo Benzoni, of course, 1:38.4. That's a very fast lap time around the circuit, so that could potentially be enough for pole position. But of course, is going to want to do one more run and strengthen that position.
Yeah, he would want to tighten his grip on that provisional pole position time there. And look at the gap actually between Zelenkovic and Louis Valentin. It's only 1/1000th of a second between the pair. And Louis is already out on his 3rd run. This could be his final run of qualifying here. I don't know how long's left in the session due to the yellow flags currently occupying the circuit due to drivers being out of fuel. But this could certainly be Louis Valentin's final run of qualifying, and he won't maximise the track conditions that he could have at hand. So here we go then with the Haas. Mackie, I've done a lot of the laps, so why don't you take us on board with a lap of the Haas?
And absolutely, going into turn 2 now, straight down, 3rd gear, hits that apex, and straight onto that outside wall, getting very close to it indeed. And now as we reach, going into turn 4, of course, the DRS zone going down here. And goes into turn 4, brakes well, and hits the wall. That is the end of Louis Valentin's qualifying session potentially. I don't think he's going to have enough time to get around to put a new wing on that Haas car. I think that's going to be the end of the Haas drivers' qualifying sessions. Everyone else sits in the pit lane. They're going to want to be careful to not repeat that mistake.
Yeah, that is very, very unfortunate there for Louis Valentin. I don't think he's going to have enough time to go again, or does he even have enough set of softs to go again. He's gone very deep on the brakes and unfortunately straight into that outside wall. Now drivers going to be starting to come out for that final run of qualifying. At the moment, it's JST leading the way. I'll say that. Simone Violo decides to elect to go past him and be one of the first drivers to start his final run of qualifying. So I think that's going to be it done for Louis Valentin. It's been a valiant effort at the top, but unfortunately a impeded run in the second run of qualifying, and then the final one just went straight on into the wall at turn number 3. So unfortunate for the Haasman, he can only start in second place. Legend Rosenberg gets a 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking. As you can see, everyone coming out of the pit lane here. I think we are going to have a lobby restart for that one, just due to the fact that it's not really his fault that he's in front of a guy on an outlap and picking up a 5-place grid penalty from it, and not really hindering either of them. But it will be Simone Violo to get us underway for these final runs of qualifying. The Sauber driver needs a good lap time here to get up into that top 3. Tony Ritchie now picks up a 5-place grid penalty, so 100% confirming we're going to get a lobby restart. But Simone Violo, the last of the 5 drivers, to get into the 1:38, can he displace Riccardo Benzoni up in front? Is there time left in that lap? We'll have to wait and see. And Mackie, why don't you try it again? You saw how Louis Valentin's lap has gone. So why don't you give it another go, this time with Simone Violo?
Absolutely. This could be a classic case of commentator's curse, just looking at someone and causing them to end their lap. I've had a few of those incidents in the past, but going down now, that's the DRS wide open as he goes across the line, driving that Sauber car into turn 1. Looked like a good braking zone onto the apex. Hits that curb a little bit, potentially a bit of a slide from the rear end it looked like. But going into turn 2, it's looking much cleaner. Gets very close to that wall indeed, but that's exactly what you want to do around here. You don't want to be too far from the wall, otherwise you are losing lap time. And now going into turn 3 after a long DRS straight. It's a long time to be stuck on that accelerator. Goes in once again, another perfectly executed corner. It looks like we could be making up some time in this corner. Look like a potential bit of understeer going through turn 4. But into turn 5, the 50-meter board. Does it well. Gets a bit wide and then pulls back in for the switch into turn 6. That's a purple sector 1 from Simone Violo. And going across there, it looks almost like he cut the corner, but hasn't invalidated lap time. But going up into the castle section now, the bit you really want to execute well, does appear to be executed well. Gets a bit of oversteer exiting the castle section. But now, going down the straight now, it's going to be looking good. Full acceleration, doesn't lift, gets alongside that wall to cut across. And then into the corner now, turn 4th gear, accelerates well. And now going into one of the penultimate corners on this circuit. Does it well, looks a little bit unstable on the steering, but otherwise it all looked very good there from Violo in the Sauber. And now as we go full throttle down at the final straight, and as we're going to hit that DRS board in just a few hundred meters, hits it, opens it, and now going along to the straight, past that pit entrance, and along the straight, across the line. It's going to be our 1:38.8. I think lost a little bit of time in that final sector. Is only able 4th fastest as we now reach the end of this qualifying session.
Yeah, nice, a decent lap time there. In the end, though, for Simone Violo, JST invalidated his run of qualifying. Valentino Labella now into the 38s as well. Only 3 thousandths of Legend Rosenberg, who's now coming up to the line. There's another, his teammate coming up to the line. Reyes, he goes up into 8th place. There was a Ferrari shooting up the order. That's Tony Ritchie. Legend Rosenberg to the line. He improves up into 4th place. Zelenkovic, what can he do in the Alpine? He's in 3rd place at the moment. 2 tenths off of Riccardo Benzoni, and he's elected to abort that one. Riccardo, is he up on his time? He's actually quite further back in this train. Daniele Parodi, is he still pushing on for a lap here? Yes, he is. He's up by 2 tenths in that middle sector. Where will this lap time put the championship leader? Only 13th fastest. Riccardo Benzoni couldn't improve either. Matthew Bassett, he's invalidated his lap. So your championship leader, only 13th fastest in qualifying, but his championship rival in 2nd place, his closest one of Riccardo Benzoni, takes pole position. And this really does change things And for Daniele Parodi, he really needs a brilliant Grand Prix now because Riccardo Benzoni has put himself in prime opportunity to try at least narrow down that championship lead. But for Louis Valentin in second, it'll be a story of what could have been after those 2 runs that one got impeded and then the other one with a mistake on his own behalf.
Absolutely, as I'm just going to run through your final grid real quick. Riccardo Benzoni, of course, gets that pole position, followed by Louis Valentin. Luckily, was able to do it on just the 1 run. Timur Zelenkovic is in 3rd with Legend Rosenberg alongside. Nando Moria is in 5th. Simone Violo in 6th. Valentino Labella, Alexander Dimas, Tony Richet, Andreas Franco are your top 10. And then Bogdan Moldovan, Reyes Imtiaz, Danielo Parodi, oh my god, I can't say any names today. Parodi and Tope are your top 14, and then I didn't quite see the rest because I was struggling with names, as I tend to do. But I'm just going to put us back here. Max, that was an interesting qualifying session. A lot seemed to happen. Of course, we had a good battle for the top where Louis Valentin was able to not, you know, was able to do the first run very well and get it out of the way, get 2nd place. Everyone's leaving. Are we getting a restart here?
Yes, I think we are for the grid penalties for Tony Ritchie and Legend Rosenberg. So I'll quickly have a look now.
All right.
Yes, we are having some start here for the penalties, which I was somewhat expecting here this evening, but that gives us more time to digest that qualifying session. It was a good one. It was really exciting, maybe a bit anticlimactic at the end there, but I mean, Riccardo Benzoni's lap was just too difficult to topple, and overall getting that done on the 2nd run gave him that somewhat comfortability of knowing he could maybe abort that final run and save a set of tyres, which unfortunately now everyone's on fresh tyres. There's no need for the soft tyre saving anymore. So we'll just have to wait and see. He'll be in a very good position mentally as well, knowing that his championship rival is all the way down in 13th place in Daniele Parodi, and he'll be looking at that saying, I can take maximum points here today. I have the pace in qualifying. The question is, does he have that pace in the race? And if he does, he certainly could not only narrow down that championship lead, but maybe even take that championship lead if Daniele Parodi can't make his way back up through the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is still a possibility here in PCF3. Of course, as we said at the start of the broadcast, the championship is extremely close right now. In fact, I'm just going to bring it back up while we've got a moment here. Of course, as you can see, there's only 10 points in it at the top, which is it's very close indeed. And you know, you're gonna really want to watch those at the top because everyone is still in with a chance of taking it. Of course, you've got Daniele Parodi there at the top, 10-point lead, but Riccardo Benzoni, you know, just behind that, and then Tony Richet is only 3 points behind Riccardo Benzoni, and in fact on equal points is Matthew Alder. So everyone there is certainly in with a chance of taking his championship.
Yeah, they certainly are. Any of them, if they have a good race. I mean, it's going to be very difficult for Matthew Alder to come from, I think he'll be 17th in the end on the grid. I think 2 drivers may have had qualifying bans or an issue there. So he'll be in 17th at the restart here. So it's going to be very difficult for him. He's down in, of course, 4th in the standings. Same points as Tony Ritchie. So we could maybe see if he can make his way up through the order, but it's going to be difficult for him to try stay in this championship fight. But for Tony Ritchie and Riccardo Benzoni, it's certainly an opportunity to try and narrow down that points deficit. That's what they need to do. Get as many points on the board as possible. Make sure you're outscoring Daniele Parodi. That is the main thing. Don't matter where you finish, as long as you get a point or 2 over the leader in the championship. That cuts it down by a few more. You're keeping your championship fight, and those points could be crucial come the end of the season. So they just need to make sure they finish ahead and keep their positions in front. But still, it's going to be a very, very tricky race. 26 laps of Baku. and to get it so precise, to keep it out the wall with all the chaos going on as well, it's going to be oh so difficult for them. And really, we could maybe see some surprises here and maybe some overall upsets with how this race could go.
Yeah, absolutely. The lobby is back up, so I think we're almost ready to go already. So yeah, it's a pretty quick lobby restart already. Of course, we're just sorting out those penalties that were given out incorrectly during that session. Of course, with a lot of traffic here on Baku, as with any street circuit, you're always risking potential issues with the game. That's for sure. So we're just gonna quickly wait. Interestingly, of course, we had a couple of drivers who didn't set any lap times at all. Had a couple of retirees early on in the session. I can't quite remember who it was who retired, but they retired without a lap time, interestingly. So we'll see if the race pace will come back for them or not. But also, we've really got to watch those championship leaders with their race, as you've already said, Max. It's certainly something that we need to keep an eye on, and it could make for a very interesting race, and potentially even we're going to see DRS games because of how close the DRS zones are on the circuit.
Yeah, you certainly could. Maybe see some drivers not going for that move into turn one, or maybe just backing off into turn one slightly, making sure the driver they're battling with overtakes them into that first corner, then get the DRS down that second straight into turn 3. That could be something we could see today, especially nearer the end of the Grand Prix, where that's when every single position matters. And overall, the start of this race will be strategy. Of course, it's going to be a hard medium here this evening. You'll probably think the drivers will go for. Maybe some near the back might go for a medium opening stint. But of course, you've got to look out for those safety cars. That is going to be a big thing when it comes to the strategy. You don't want to box when a safety car could be just round the corner. I know it's all down to luck, but sometimes you can see some trends. Maybe drivers are battling a little bit too hard and too aggressive with one another, and it ends up being a collision that could bring out a safety car. You need to look at stuff like that, the trends in the race, and maybe predict if a safety car is coming out or not. You could maybe see drivers out down the further at the back of the field, just stay out as long as possible for a safety car, get them in the best position possible, fresh tyres, and then push at the end of the Grand Prix. We can only wait and see, but you certainly need to look at the safety cars for a big factor in this Grand Prix, especially due to how narrow this circuit it really is.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just waiting now for a couple more drivers to connect to this lobby. It appears potential connection issues, which is unsurprising. It happens from time to time. Yeah, I don't know if there's much else to talk about. Of course, we could talk about the constructor standings real quick, because they're also extremely close, even closer than the driver standings, arguably. Of course, you've got Ferrari up there on top with Laminen and Ritchie up there at the top, but only 73 points to Williams behind on 65 points. So there's absolutely every chance this constructors battle could go to the end of the season.
Yeah, it certainly could, and we'll just have to wait and see, really, how this championship battle for the constructors plays out, because, I mean, it's 8 points separating Ferrari and Williams, and then it's only 21 back to McLaren. That could, and then 25 to Aston Martin and Mercedes. It could all switch within even a Grand Prix, really, because overall, if a team gets a 1-2 or a big points haul, they could bump themselves up 2, maybe 3 positions overall. It's going to be all about both drivers scoring well, both drivers getting a good qualifying, which we've seen actually really from McLaren here this evening. JSD, I think, is in 8th or 9th, and then of course you have Riccardo Benzoni up in, of course, on pole position, so they could get a big points haul today and then maybe close that gap down to Williams. So we could maybe even see, come the end of the season, 5-6 teams still battling it out for the championship. That'll be something amazing to see. Of course, not really in league racing do you see drivers focusing on the constructors' standings. They race for themselves, but if you can get the constructors' standings alongside a championship as well, it's something really nice to have, because you know you've worked well with your teammate too. So we could maybe see a big constructors fight all the way to the wire and at the end of Kota. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. But let's focus on Baku. Let's not look at the end of the season. This is definitely going to be a chaotic Grand Prix, especially with how close the drivers were in qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're almost ready to go, thankfully. You'll get to see some racing action very, very soon. We do apologise for the delay, of course. Fairness of competition is always on top over anything else. So we will be getting underway very soon. And yeah, Max, anything else that is worth mentioning before this race starts?
Oh yes, actually there is. Next week there will be no PC.
The Thursday tiers, just
yes. Well, the Thursday tiers, yeah. There'll be no Thursday tiers next week. That is due to F1 Esports starting up again. So that means that next week it's pretty much going to be a break week here for the PC side of things. So yeah, don't come back next week and think, oh yeah, we got another PSGL stream. No, unfortunately, we're having to skip next week due to F1 Esports. But yeah, that is something worth noting because we have been told to say that in the stream. So let's get it out the way now. Why not, Mackie? And
yeah, absolutely.
While it's fresh on our minds,
we'll probably remind you at the end again anyway as we're doing our outro. But looks like the lobby is reset. So before we get into the race, let's just play a quick video from our sponsor, GT Omega. You can get 5% off at checkout using code PSGL. All right, and now you join us here for the race as we await to get underway here.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very exciting one. Hard, medium strategy, maybe even a medium hard for some of the drivers expecting an early safety car. But it's going to be something of chaos, carnage, and overall just a fun Grand Prix to watch. So we do have a full grid. I think Ivan Santamaria has joined us late. So that means that we now have a 20-car grid here this evening. Actually, no, we had a 20-car grid anyway. What am I on about? It's because Matthew Alder got a DQ. I thought there was only 19 cars for some reason. But no, we still have a full grid here this evening. Due to those connection issues, we still have everybody else. They managed to get sorted, luckily. So this is what it all comes down to now. All that qualifying to get yourself into the best position possible for the likes of Riccardo Benzoni, Louis Valentin, Zelenkovic, and Legend Rosenberg. That top four, all that hard work, will it be paid off here this evening? We'll just have to wait and see. Mackie, we're new here to F3, so why don't we play a game? Who do you think is going to win this one?
Well, I'm going to base it. I'm not even going to look at the qualifying results. Of course, strategy and racing, everything can change. I mean, we might not even see a front runner finish the race. You never know during an F1 race or an F3 race in this case. But looking purely at the standings, I'm going to say it's going to be a battle at the top. But we have our 5 red lights. They're all there. They're ready to go. Being held for a while. And they're away, and it looks like the Haas driver of Louis Valentin got a really good start. Is alongside Riccardo Benzoni for the lead of the Grand Prix. Go through turn 1. The McLaren cuts across just a little bit, but the Haas is all aware to the overtake potential that McLaren has. But it's all going well so far. They made it through turn 1. Looks like they've made it through turn 2 as well. Louis Valentin is in the lead of this Grand Prix. And Riccardo Benzoni loses the lead off the start and is now into second. But it's definitely pressuring. Andreas Franco is now into 8th position ahead of Tony Ritchie. They're at the back, in the midfield, I should say. And there's a lot of overtakes happening at the back. I think an Alpine spun.
Yeah, that's Ivan Santamaria in the background. He's unfortunately been spun round to the and there's a bit of front wing damage on that Alpine as well for Santamaria. It's been an absolutely disastrous start to this back Azerbaijan Grand Prix, but to look at that, Louis Valentine taking the lead, but crucially to note, he is on the soft compounder tyres, the same as Zelenkovic and Nando Moira. So, sorry, 3 of the top 4 on the softs. You've got Riccardo Benzoni on the hards, and then the rest of the field on the hards is set from Matthew Bassett. So, that now adds a whole new strategy and a whole new complexion to this Grand Prix. With these drivers on the softs, they are now really going to be gambling on a safety car, you would think, to come out quite early into this Grand Prix. The softs can only really last 6 or 7 laps. With a decent amount of pace to them, as here comes Zelenkovic on Benzoni. I don't think the McLaren's really going to fight these soft runners. There's no need to. He'll lose too much time, as there goes Nando Moira up into 3rd place. And there we go, the top 3 all on the soft tyres, the only 3 on the soft tyres in this Grand Prix. Further back we have Daniel Parodi versus Bogdan Moldovan, and the Williams driver stays ahead of the AlphaTauri as we enter into turn 1. This train is now going to start forming behind Riccardo Benzoni, unless by the end of this lap he's still within DRS range of the Aston Martin in front of him. It wasn't too much of a chaotic start, relatively clean throughout the field other than the Ivan Santamaria incident, but still everybody as soon as you get down to Thomas Lanneman, who is on the verge of losing it to Bogdan Moldovan.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone now, as I said during qualifying, DRS trains are inevitable here at Baku with the way that DRS zones have been set up. But of course, there's still opportunities to overtake, and it actually looked like Imtiaz was going to go for a move there, but was too far back. Looked to just be going for that outside line, but decided against it, probably sensibly. It's so early in the race, it's not worth risking the car just yet. So now, as we go further up the grid, the 3 front runners all on the soft tyre. In fact, everyone's on the hard tyre except for Matthew Bassett in 17th on the medium tyres, and Ivan Santamaria at the back on the soft tyres, who just had to replace their wing due to spinning on lap 1. But everyone has survived lap 1, most importantly.
Yeah, that is very important, that everybody's still in this Grand Prix. So Ivan Santamaria, he needs a safety car, but that is certainly possible around here. Everyone within DRS of one another, and here comes Daniel Parodi, your championship leader, versus Valentino Labella. He's got the move done on the AlphaTauri. Thomas Lanneman as well against Bogdan Moldovan. He was nearly losing DRS at the start of this lap. By the end of it, he's passed the AlphaTauri in front. Brilliant move by Thomas Lanneman to gain that time back throughout that lap and get up into 14th place. Parodi now up a place from where he started, up to 12th, and is now looking at the back of the McLaren of JST. Not the McLaren he was hoping would be this far back. He would be hoping it was Riccardo Benzoni, his championship rival, this far back through the field, but he's still leading these hard runner train. He's pulled a second from Legend Rosenberg and is actually within DRS still of the soft runners in front. So that must mean now that Riccardo Benzoni is in a very, very good position here to stick with this top 3 and then capitalise when that pendulum swings into that hard compound tyre favour. And Louis Valentin, he did break a second at one point, is now back down to 6/10, so maybe setup related issues there for him. As look, yeah, he's definitely running lower wings here as Louis Valentin. He's certainly pulling in those straight lines, and then through the corners, Zelenkovic is able to catch up. So for Louis Valentin, I think he might have gone for a lot less wings compared to the rest of the field.
Absolutely, but that could play right into his hands as we've got such a long straight here that requires you to have so much speed. It could combat that DRS that's going to be coming in from behind just about this lap from Zelenkovic. but just behind in the Alpine. In fact, that DRS is open. It's giving him a huge advantage. He's down to 2 tenths already. And going to turn 1, we could be seeing an overtake. In fact, the overtake's been made on the straight already, and that looked way too easy from the Alpine driver. But the next DRS zone is going to be Louis Valentin's advantage.
Yeah, it certainly will be the Haas's advantage with that DRS, and if he is running a lower wing setup, he should be able to just breeze by the Alpine. Here we go, in the slipstream to that inside line goes Louis Valentin, and on lap 4 of 26 takes back that lead, only a corner and a straight before, after he lost it. So there we go, Louis Valentin still in the lead here of this Grand Prix. Zelenkovic tried the move last lap. This is what I said about, is that the drivers will allow and not really fight into turn 1 because they know they can get the move done once again into turn 3 with that second burst of DRS, that second helping, especially if you're at the front of the field where the driver in front has no DRS. So, of course, tyre management is going to be crucial around here, and we'll see if Zelenkovic can stick with the Haas man in front. Legend Rosenberg is still flickering between 1 second and 8 tenths of a second to Riccardo Benzoni in front. There's a spin in the background. That's Matthew Bassett. Matthew Bassett round in the castle section. This is where he saw his teammate Matthew Older get a disqualification in qualifying. I found out the reason for that was he was letting someone by, and Matthew Bassett has lost his front wing, so his race has gone from bad to worse. He has no front wing here, and he'll have to come into the pits to change that. Might drop him behind Ivan Santa Maria, and we'll see further up. Will Zelenkovic get closer as Matthew Bassett has actually crashed on the circuit? He's retired from the session, but no safety car. No safety car's been deployed. Simone Violo has got past Legend Rosenberg. Disaster for Matthew Bassett. Rays versus Tony Ritchie. They're going to go side by side up into turn 1. Is the Red Bull going to come out on top, or is it going to be the Ferrari? The Red Bull has used nearly all his battery already. You can see the red light flashing on Rays' car as he gets past Tony there. DRS will be open for Tony Ritchie as they now exit out of turn 2, but it doesn't seem like he'll be close enough to get the move done. But Ray's using a lot of battery, and he's actually hit 0% there. I can see it on the dash, and Andreas Franco in front as well. Also got very low on the battery, less than 10% for the Sauber as well. But for Matthew Bassett, it is a disaster for him, and I'm surprised that did not bring out a safety car.
Yeah, absolutely. I was expecting at least a virtual safety car there due to that incident, but we were lucky enough to not have this race delayed in any way. So as we now reach lap 5 of 26, the grid has mixed up a little bit, but you know, not as much as you might expect. Louis Valentin is, of course, still leading the race by about half a second to Timur Zelenkovic. In second, Nando Moreira is currently in third, and Riccardo Benzoni fifth. Of course, Simon Violo rounds out your top 5. Of course, everyone's tyres are slightly different here. The top 3 still running those soft tyres, everyone else running the hards, until you reach Ivan at the back with those soft tyres as well, trying to catch up with the rest of the grid. But indeed, it looks like Benzoni's going for a move on Nando, going through down the straight, in fact, and as they go into turn 1, Nando just doesn't have that DRS advantage that's going to help him as they're in 8th gear, dropping all the way down to 3rd through turn 1, and the McLaren there has the advantage. Those soft tyres now starting to wear off the Aston Martin driver.
Yeah, tyre wear is actually quite big around here, so that Aston Martin could certainly be feeling the effects of some worn soft compounded tyres after 4 laps. Legend Rosenberg is falling back as well as here comes Simone Violo to the inside of Nando Moira. To the inside goes the Sauber, and it's a really nice move on the brakes from Simone Violo. It's a very, very committed drive here from the Sauber. But as I was saying, Alexander Dimas now past Legend Rosenberg as well, so the Red Bull man starting to fall back in this train, maybe just saving his tyres slightly, but has used a lot of his batteries, down to about 20% on his battery, and that could be costly come the end of this stint, because he's got nothing to fight with, and drivers can get past him and get into better track position before the pit window. But Alexander Dimas now behind Nando Moira. He is really starting to struggle here in his Aston Martin. The Williams man all over the back of him as we're about to head through 13, 14 and 15 here in Baku. We could even see a move further up between Riccardo Benzoni and Simone Violo, but no, the Sauber electing to sit behind. Of course, it's going to be very tricky to go 2 by 2 through turn 16. But here we go, all about this exit out of turn 17 to then give you the best run down this main straight. Alexander Dimas all over the back of Nando Moira. We'll see if he can finally get a move done and move up into that top 5 for the first time this evening. So here we go then. DRS will be open for the pair of them. Daniele Parodi, your championship leader, gets past Tony Ritchie there and goes into the points. Alexander Dimas and Legend Rosenberger's Nando Moira goes into the pit lane. Was about to say they overtake him. Louis Valentine drops behind Zelenkovic as well. The Alpine finally able to get past the Haas once more, but could it be a carbon copy move for Louis Valentin this time around on lap 7 of 26? Only 3 laps to go was he's moved back to the inside through turn 3. Could it be late on the brakes? No, he is not. So Zelenkovic now leads the way for the first time properly in this Grand Prix, but he's got but Louis Valentin and Zelenkovic now coming under a lot of pressure, a huge amount of pressure from not only Riccardo Benzoni but Simone Violo as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The Haas driver certainly struggling a bit on those tyres now. It looks like Zelenkovic has managed to maybe save a bit more of those tyres, as Benzoni's really not far off these two. And in fact, it looks like Louis Valentin almost decided to go for a move there going up into the castle section, but decided against it. It was too much risk of going side by side up a place you just can't fit 2 cars. So as we continue to watch now, Simon Violo is very close to this battle as well. This train is getting ever closer as Valentin just does not seem to have the same pace that Zelenkovic ahead has. So now 4th place, challenging 3rd place, going on to the main straight now. Of course, they don't get DRS until they're almost at the end of it. It's only the final third of the straight that has a DRS, but will we see any of the soft runners pit on this lap? I wouldn't be surprised if we see Louis Valentin pit at this point. He has really started to struggle on those tyres.
Yeah, he really has, as we can see Zelenkovic electing to go into the pit lane, and there's Louis Valentin following him in. So they are reacting somewhat to Nando Moira, but this is a planned pit stop for these drivers. Here comes Daniele Barodi to the inside of Andreas Franco. Can the Williams get the move done on the inside? Yes, he can, and he moves himself further into that top 10, up into the top 5 now, of course, due to those 3 cars boxing in front as Andreas Franco nearly into the back of the Williams man in front. Of course, your championship leader just needs to keep it out of trouble, really, being in this top 5, but he has made his way up the order quite quickly here, has Daniele Parodi, because now he's only got Legend Rosenberg and Alexander Dimas until he's actually hit the top 3 of the podium. Once he gets past those 2 in front, he needs to get into the DRS though of Legend Rosenberg. There he's just teetering on the edge. He's now within DRS range, so that Williams has a lot of pace. Daniele Parodi maybe sacrificed a bit of qualifying pace for some race pace, and is certainly making things work, because he's now within DRS of that top 4 in front, and leading that train is his closest championship rival with Riccardo Benzoni. 10 points separating the pair here in F3, and for Daniele Parodi, if he can outscore all his championship rivals, he can maybe even make it more than a race win to succumb his lead.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lead that Parodi's going to want to try and maintain, but one that Benzoni's going to want to try and close. And right now, it's going the McLaren's way. But Simon Violo is losing time to the leader of this Grand Prix. He's getting challenged a bit by Dimas behind. It's looking like they're going to stay within this train, at least for now. They're all staying within a second of each other. No one's really going for a move just yet, but I reckon at the next round of pit stops, that's when we're going to see some real action on track.
Yeah, that is really when we're going to start to see some action. Daniele Parodi actually just going to let off here and stick behind Legend of Rosenberg, who is losing a bit of time to that top 3 in front of him, Alexander Dimas, Violo and Benzoni. Louis Valentin gets past Zelenkovic down that main straight. It's a bit early, really, I thought, for maybe Zelenkovic and Valentin to come in, maybe even just coming off those soft tyres, really. Just overall, those mediums, they're going to be very, very worn coming into the Grand Prix, so they're somewhat hoping when everybody in front of them comes into the pit lane, they get a safety car as well, and really see what is, and really capitalise on a safety car that could benefit their race and give them a perfect opportunity at taking at least a podium finish. But Riccardo Benzoni in front, still controlling the pace here from Simone Violo. These hard tyres probably will go until about, I would say, lap 15, 16, and then they will elect to come into the pit lane for a set of the medium compound of tyres, and then they'll be hunting down the likes of Louis Valentin, Zelenkovic and Moira to see if they can get back up into these top 3 places. But now, Riccardo Benzoni going to be under pressure down that main straight, and so is Violo actually. Dimas is actually very, very close to the back of the Sauber in front. He's got a lot of battery as well to play with, more than 50%. He's into the 16th range actually, is Alexander Dimas. He's going to get closer with the slipstream. Really, he should make this move because he'll still have the DRS from the car in front, even if he does make this move. But here comes Violo. You've got Parodi getting past Rosenberg as well there. Your championship leader now up to 4th place. Dimas going to be all over the back of Violo. Is he going to look to the outside line? No, he's just going to sit behind heading into turn 1. All this congestion from this top 3 could allow Parodi to catch up and get DRS. He's going to be on the verge before they hit the detection point. I think he's got it. Yes, he does. So now your championship leader, who started 13th and was miles behind Riccardo Benzoni and Simone Violo, has now got DRS on that top 3 and is starting to claw his way back into this one. So that setup certainly working in this race pace scenario as Valentino Labella versus Tony Ricci. Can the Ferrari hang on to 9th place here? Round the outside goes the AlphaTauri, and still Tony Ricci holding on to this one on the inside for turn 4, but the outside for turn 5, which will then lead to the inside for turn 6. The Ferrari should hold on to this one, force the AlphaTauri man to the wall, and there we go. Tony Ricci keeps 9th place. Valentino Labella looking for a move into turn 7, not happening there, and Tony Ricci can keep 9th place through this middle sector now as Modesto Mina gets past Matthew Older round the outside there. A brilliant move from the Aston Martin into turn 7, but Riccardo Benzoni needs to put his foot down because your championship leader is now on the back of that top 3.
Yeah, absolutely. This is vital for that Williams driver who's currently leading the championship. As Louis Valentin trying to get through the pack on those newer tyres compared to everyone else. Of course, still got this battle going on for 10th, and of course that last points paying position. As that battle between Tony Rich and Valentino Labella really brought the Ferrari teammate into the battle, which is certainly going to be on their minds. And at the top, Alexander Dimas is really starting to gain on Simon Violo, but it's going as well for Simon Violo on Richie Benzoni. The lack of DRS there for the McLaren driver is really harming his race so far. He's really struggling to keep that Sauber driver behind, but it seems to all be going. We've got a crash into turn 1 by the looks of it.
Oh, it's Valentino Labella. He spun round on the exit at turn 1. Don't know if that's contact with Tony Ricci as Thomas Lanneman now gets past his teammate. And here comes Bogdan Moldovan as well to get past Tony Ricci. To the outside goes the AlphaTauri. Late on the brakes, manages to keep it out that outside wall there. Really nicely done there from Bogdan Moldovan. Don't know if there was contact there between Tony Ricci and Valentino Labella. I think there might be, because I think Tony's got a bit of front wing damage on his Scarlet Red Ferrari. So disaster for another of the championship protagonists, as Zelenkovic, Valentin and Moira all have caught up to this hard tyre train. But is this going to hinder them due to them being in dirty air now? They can't push forwards as well. They're going to be stuck behind some cars as there's more of Tony Ricci's front wing. He certainly now has front wing damage as there goes Zelenkovic round the outside. Valentin will follow him through and now push the Alpine all the way through this next battle race. And no! Tony Ricci kept his nose up the inside. Valentin caught into a spin. They make contact, and the Haasman, who was on the alternate strategy, who was looking to try and fight his way through these hard compound runners and get past Zelenkovic as well, who's on the same strategy as him. But Tony Ricci kept his nose up the inside in a place where he shouldn't have been with no front wing, and he spins Valentin round. That is going to be crucial for how this race is going to go, as Violo gets past Benzoni at last, and he's now up into the lead of the Grand Prix. But now Benzoni will get DRS down that second DRS straight.
Yeah, absolutely. This could be absolutely vital for the McLaren driver here. Riccardo Benzoni opens that DRS. He's gaining extremely quickly. He has the slipstream. He has the DRS. Is he going to pull to the inside to make the move? No, he elects not to. He backs off a bit earlier, and Simon Violo is able to keep that move, keep that position at least for now. And as we go into that, let's just digest what happened there. So it looks like Louis Valentin came together with the Ferrari of Tony Richie, I believe, I could be wrong, was Valentino Labella involved in that as well? It was it looked like a messy overtake that went a little bit wrong from my perspective.
Yeah, it was just Valentin getting past Tony Ritchie there, really, and overall, it just ended in a bad way for Louis Valentin there, because he was going for the move. Tony Ritchie should have really backed out of that one. He had front wing damage. He was going to be a lot slower and lose that position anyway. But he just kept his nose up the inside and completely understeered in to the Haas man. I think all blame. I know I'm meant to be somewhat non-biased here, but you can't be non-biased about that. All blame has to go on to Tony Ritchie there. He shouldn't have kept his nose up the inside, but that's really unfortunate for Louis Valentin. Of course, he's now down to 15th place. He's 7 seconds off his teammate. He now really needs a safety car as this one. As here comes Benzoni on Violo. He's going to move back up into the race lead here. These two swapping places. This could allow Dimas and Parodi through on the Sauber as well. Here comes Dimas. We're going to be 3 wide into turn 1. The 2 Williams cars going to the inside of the Sauber. Can they get the move done? Can Parodi get 2 in 1 Ricciardo-esque on the likes of Felipe Massa in 2017? Dimas now to the outside of his teammate. He surely is going to let Parodi through to hunt down his championship rival, and he does. And here we go, Parodi versus Benzoni, the top 2 in the championship, top 2 here in Baku, and Dimas was also able to get past Viodo there. So the DRS, not having the DRS there, really hindered the Sauber, and unfortunately he now drops down to 4th place, but is still applying a bunch of pressure on Alexander Dimas in front.
Yeah, absolutely. Violo still in every opportunity here for a podium, potentially even a win, although Benzoni is absolutely flying down the road. He's almost reached that second gap that is absolutely vital. He has the end of the second sector and the start of the third sector to make it before he reaches that detection zone. It's currently sat at 8/10, and this could be vital for Parodi behind to stay within that DRS range.
Yeah, this really could be, as there's a yellow flag. That's for Ivan Santamaria retiring from the session. And for Parodi, he now only has his championship rival in front of him. And that really could be something he would love to see. He's probably grinning inside that Williams cockpit. And we've had 4 retirements from this. Matthew Older picks up a 3-second time penalty for track limits. But here we go then, lap 13 of 26. Parodi having less battery than Benzoni by quite some margin, nearly 80% between the pair. Is Parodi coming into the pit lane? Yes, he is. An early call from the Williams man. Simone Violo following him in as well. Same with Legend Rosenberg. But we now have the first of the hard runners into the pit lane, and it's your championship leader, the man who's worked his way from 13th up to 2nd place, into the pit lane, onto a set of the mediums. Now, the hunt for Riccardo Benzoni begins. And will they be able to undercut him? And will Benzoni react at the end of this lap?
I think it's really going to depend on Benzoni, how his tyres feel from his perspective. Of course, if the tyres still feel good, there's no point pitting just yet, as Moira makes a move on Moldovan for 7th position. But also here at the top, it looks like Imtiaz has made it up there into 4th place. Of course, his pit stops playing a huge role in that, still on those hard tyres that he started the race on. But could absolutely be playing a game of strategy here for the next few laps. Dimas has been able to stay within that 7/10 mark of Benzoni. Make sure he doesn't get outside that DRS range, because then Benzoni just has every opportunity to run away with the lead of this race. Violo has exited into 13th behind Parodi, exactly how things were beforehand. In fact, appears to be getting heat into those tyres slightly quicker, and isn't losing much time. Apart from going through that castle section, did manage to lose a couple of tenths, unfortunately. And yeah, it's got very interesting now of the strategies at play.
Yeah, it certainly has. Now do we see Benzoni react to his championship rival of Daniel Parodi coming to the pit lane? So the McLaren driver keeping to that left-hand side. He is going to react here. He is going to cover off that undercut. Reyes is able to get past Andreas Franco just before they come into the pit lane. He chops off the Sauber as they head onto the pit lane entry. Managed to get in just before the white line. So that is a very, very clean move there. Now we see Benzoni into the pits for those mediums. Where is the Williams of Parodi? He's heading up into turn 1 now, side by side with Violo, who gets the move done on the Williams man. Benzoni comes out behind the pair of them, and not only Parodi and Violo, it's Rosenberg as well. He's managed to get out just in front of course, Alexander Dimas and Louis Valentin, who's down in 11th place after that contact with Tony Ritchie. So he's got Reyes and Andrea Franco behind, but Parodi is now in net second place. Of course, they've got to wait for the hard runners in front to box of JSD, Bogdan Moldovan and Mina, and then they start to close down on that gap between them and Zelenkovic and Moira, who of course went for that soft medium strategy, as actually JSD and Zelenkovic going to go side by side into the castle section. Back out of that one, boys. JSD does. He values life over putting it into the wall through the castle section, and Zelenkovic hits the front of your Grand Prix as Louis Valentin versus Reyes. They're going side by side through turn 7 now, and Louis Valentin holding up the Red Bull. Of course, Louis can go to the end of the Grand Prix still and manages to hold on to the position as Violo gets past Modesto Mina, heading in through 13, 14 and 15 there, managed to get the run out of the castle section, and he moves up into 5th. There's a yellow flag behind, that's for Tope, he's retired, and we have a virtual safety car here. Surprisingly, that is not a full course safety car, knowing how that is in the middle of the castle section.
Yeah, very, very interesting decision from the race director to only call out a virtual safety car around here.
Sorry to cut in, Zelenkovic is in.
And so is JSD as well, make a full opportunity of that virtual safety car. In fact, I expect a lot of drivers to pit here. Nando enters the pit lane as well. And after this pit section, we'll just have a quick look now what the tyres are currently looking like. It's going to be mediums throughout most of the grid, except Moldovan, who's now into the pit lane as well, as long as Mina have both on those old hards of pit. It looks like everyone now is going to be on the medium tyres. Will Valentin pit? It looks like he hasn't pitted, despite being 8-lap-old mediums. The pit stop potentially could have gone his way. This virtual safety car is still ongoing. I expect it to end momentarily. And, of course, Matthew Alder at the back still carrying that 3-second time penalty. Not having the greatest race, I don't think. DRS is now re-enabled as we go green. And it looks like Valentin is right on the back of Moira for 9th position. Valentin, of course, has had a good race so far and would like to move up. Again, a very interesting decision to have not got rid of his 8-lap-old mediums just yet. But we will see as Andreas Franco looks to go around the outside, doesn't do it, backs off just a little bit. It's taking potentially better lines, but the defensive lines from Lewis Valentin, at least for now. And at the top, we've got Violo, Parodi and Rosenberg leading your top 3.
Yep, so now that's for Zelenkovic, really does help him out there. He's within DRS of Dimas, who's then within DRS of the top 4, but Parodi is actually losing time to Simone Violo in front. After that virtual safety car restart, so Violo has absolutely flown away from the Williams man behind him. It's 9 tenths now, the gap between the pair. I think also Parodi got held up slightly by Modesto Mina into turn 16 last time around. But Violo, 8 tenths clear here so far. Legend Rosenberg falling off the back of the Williams car in front slightly. I don't think he's going to have DRS down this main straight. No, he is not. But luckily for him, Benzoni is not close enough to capitalise on him not having DRS. As Dimas all over the back of the McLaren as well. He can't get the move done. Lap 17 of 26. We're entering 10 laps to go here in Baku. The race not been as chaotic as I thought it would have. Not as many crashes and safety cars as expected, but still a very entertaining Grand Prix. Parodi from 13th on the grid, now looking to take the lead of the Grand Prix for the first time here this evening, but no, having to sit behind Violo. He needs to save that battery, really, does the Williams man, if come the end of the race, he wants to be able to fight with the likes of Violo, Benzoni, Rosenberg for that race victory, as Laminen gets past Valentin there. He's up into 12th place, Valentin down to 13th, but Parodi in second, all over the back of the Sauber in front, and Rosenberg finally back within DRS. That is going to be so crucial for his Grand Prix, and especially for Benzoni as well. The Red Bull needs to keep DRS for the McLaren to keep with his championship rival.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Lewis Valentin's tyres are potentially starting to struggle after not pitting under the virtual safety car like pretty much everyone around him did. It might take him out of contention for the lead or maybe even the win here. But Dimas now challenging Benzoni for 4th position. Benzoni's doing a good job of keeping him around the 4/10 mark, at least for now. But we'll see going down this straight, whether the DRS or Slipstream is able to make an advantage. But of course, Benzoni also has DRS and Slipstream on Rosenberg ahead. The McLaren driver is going to be really looking at the Red Bull, and in fact could be going here for 3rd place and going past now. And it looks like the lead of the race has also changed. Parodi has gone past Violo for the lead of the race. Benzoni's into 3rd. Rosenberg goes out to 4th and Violo into 2nd. Lots of changes happening here at the front of the grid on lap 18.
Yes, Parodi now in front of Simone Viola and hits the front of the Grand Prix for the first time this evening. From 13th on the grid, he's now within a fight for the race victory. Violo looking for a move maybe into turn 3. No, just not close enough to go for a send into that tricky left-hander, that 90-degree left-hander, which could easily have spat him into the wall if he went for that one. Benzoni still just within DRS of the Sauber in front. It is now all starting to become a little bit more known for these drivers, a little bit more if I can speak English, that is, ominous for them to get these moves done, and so crucial that the end of the race is very, very near. 9 laps to go here this evening in Baku, and Daniele Parodi, who of course started 13th place, carved his way through the field, was net 2nd place come the end of the last stint on the hard tyres. He's now up to 1st in this Grand Prix. Your race leader really has put himself at work and has really fought his way through the field. If he can win this one, it would be a real champion's drive from the Williams man, as Violo all over the back of him still as we head through the S section once more. And Riccardo Benzoni is within 4 tenths now. He's closed that gap down to the cars in front as Dimas now gets past Rosenberg, and so does Selenkovic as well. Rosenberg has no battery left in the tank, and here comes Selenkovic on Dimas. To the outside goes the Alpine. Can he get this one done into turn 1? He's going to pinch Dimas to that inside line, make sure he gets a worst exit, which he does, and there goes Selenkovic up into 4th place as Moira gets past Reyes as well. But will Dimas be able to fight back now down this 2nd DRS straight? Of course, Selenkovic doesn't have any. He's within DRS range now of that top 3 due to all the congestion happening up in front, with Daniele Parodi slowing everybody down and Violo just having to lift off slightly. Then that causes Benzoni to lift off even more, creating that effect of a... now get within 6 tenths of the McLaren in front. Of course, on the youngest tyres due to boxing in that virtual safety car period. 5 laps on those mediums for Parodi, 5 for Violo, then 4 for Benzoni, and then 3 for Selenkovic. This really is starting to become crunch time, and for Dimas, he can just stick with the Alpine and maybe see if he can use him as a battering ram and just pick up the scraps from overtakes that Selenkovic can make.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything is still possible in this race. We have 7 drivers in this train for the lead of the Grand Prix, all being carried along by each other's DRS, all except Parodi at the front, who does not get that DRS benefit and is really on the defensive in this race. Benzoni now really gaining on Violo. They're not even in the DRS section yet. I think Violo might be having a couple of issues with his tyres already in this stint. And now as the drag race happens, Violo catching on Parodi, but Benzoni catching on Violo. They're outside of Zelenkovic has really dropped back, and to the inside line gets pushed Benzoni, and into the lead goes Violo. Parodi's all the way down in 3rd, but Benzoni then takes the lead into turn 1. And through the inside, there's still going to be 3 wide going into turn 2. 2 wide into turn 2 for 2nd and 3rd. Violo and Parodi now battling. And in fact, they're all there. There's 5 of them there, all battling for the same piece of tarmac. And it's going to be 3rd now for Zelenkovic as he goes into 2nd place. He might even get the move done on Benzoni, sorry. But it's going to be all there for Benzoni. Benzoni moving away from this pack. Parodi trying to keep any position he potentially has. And he's getting squeezed from all directions. He backs off. He doesn't want to damage the car. There's a tap between the Sauber and the Williams in front. Another tap between the other Williams and the same Sauber and Violi. And I think we might have determined positions, at least for now. Benzoni's going to be in the lead of this race, followed by Zelenkovic and Dimas behind in 3rd. Parodi there, the biggest loser from that battle.
Yeah, it really is. But overall, I think for Parodi there, it was smart backing out of all those moves. Being the championship leader in a position where you can still score some points and still fight your way back through with 6 laps to go. He really just needed to back out of that one. Make sure you get no damage to the car. Oh, it's a big slide though through turn 16. How he has kept that one out the wall, I do not know. Managed to keep that one and overall stay within good contention of this Grand Prix. But Benzoni now leads the way from Zelenkovic. It's all shaken up at the top. The top three, the only driver in that top three from the lap before was Benzoni, and how now he leads the Grand Prix as JSD gets past Legend Rosenberg. He's now in the fight for the race victory as well. Here he comes. He's going to go for Parodi as well. He's gaining and gaining on the man 5th place in this Grand Prix. To the outside goes the McLaren, but can't get the move done. But Parodi goes deep. JSD with the up and under. The good old switcheroo from the McLaren. Can he get this one done into turn 2? Yes, he can. He'll have the DRS as well to help him defend from Parodi behind. Parodi will have the slipstream against the McLaren, though, but won't be able to get the move done. So JSD now up into 5th place. He's come from absolute nowhere, has the McLaren driver, from 15th on the grid. He's now up into 5th place, and now really he's going to start to be hunting down Violo as well. He's on 5-lap old mediums, same with Zelenkovic, so it shows having those 2-lap younger tyres really does help when it comes to making those moves and just keeping yourself in good race-winning contention, as Zelenkovic is now 4 tenths behind Benzoni as we're heading through the Castle section once more. And Benzoni still leading this race quite well, you would say, Mackie, and just holding his own up at the front and has the most battery out of anybody in that top 7.
Yeah, absolutely. That set of moves over the last couple of laps as we now reach lap 21 and 26, about to start lap 22 as we go down into the S's and then onto that front straight. It's been looking very good for the McLaren driver of Benzoni, at least so far in this race. Zelenkovic, of course, is still up there as well. He's not letting Benzoni get too far into distance. In fact, he's using that slipstream to the Alpine's advantage and potentially going to be going for a move here as the DRS gets opened. Of course, Benzoni doesn't get that DRS advantage going down the main straight, but the Alpine is gaining, but I don't think he's gaining quite enough to go for a move into turn 1. Backs off a little bit earlier than you might expect, and that's going to be keeping 2nd place for the Alpine, at least for now. And further back on the grid, we've got more moves being made. Looks like Nando lost place to Imtiaz further back for 8th place. And now everyone sort of just sitting where they are, waiting for that opportunity to make a move, waiting for a mistake to be made in front. And I think that's just what Timur Zelenkovic is doing right now.
Yeah, Zelenkovic really just going to sit here until those final few laps of the Grand Prix, and then he'll start to attack the McLaren up in front of him. Of course, the top 7 still all within DRS range of one another, and we can maybe see a few good battles between those, and maybe even some separate battles come the end of the Grand Prix if someone elects to not be able to keep within DRS of the car in front. We'll have to wait and see. But for Benzoni, he's still leading the way quite nicely, just patiently driving along and dictating how everybody should drive this one. Of course, Zelenkovic is also saving battery behind the McLaren driver, the same with the likes of Dimas and Violo. They'll be saving their batteries too. We're going to be on lap 23 of 26. This will be the start of 4 racing laps to go here in Azerbaijan. You've got Benzoni leading the way from Zelenkovic to McLaren versus the Alpine. It will be DRS open for Zelenkovic heading down that main straight. Will he go for the move? Will he elect to lift off? Yes, he does. He doesn't want to go for a move just yet. But talking about moves, Violo to the outside of Dimas. Late on the brakes goes the Williams driver, and Violo not able to get the up and under like JSD, and is having to sit behind for another corner at the very least, as we have DRS once more heading down into turn 2. But with Dimas getting a better exit out of that second corner, it's not looking likely for Violo to get the move done, and there we go. It stays with Dimas in 3rd and Violo in 4th, but still so crucial that these drivers keep their front wings and keep within a second of one another. They don't want to go for any risky moves just yet. That will be for lap 26 and lap 26 only.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to want those batteries completely full. They want full attacking power onto the last lap, because then you've not got to worry about the DRS coming back to bite you. Matthew Alder getting past Louis Valentin at the back. And Louis Valentin has retired from the session in the pit lane. Unfortunate race for the Haas driver this weekend. Or this week. It's not the weekend. I've lost track of which day we're even on. This race has been so exciting so far. But Benzoni still leading the way ahead of Zelenkovic and Dimas there behind. Violo isn't too far off either. And in fact, I think anyone down to Rosenberg is still in with a chance at a podium and maybe even a race win.
Yeah, that is certainly the case, is that the top 7 are all still within a chance of, at very least, a podium finish here this evening. But as we're about to start, 3 racing laps to go. Dimas in 3rd place, followed by Zelenkovic up in 2nd, and then Benzoni leading the way still. Violo has dropped back from the Williams driver. He's had a poor lap this time around as the Sauber, and this could allow JST to now attack the Sauber driver, the McLaren, looking for a move. He sent the Sauber in deep, and now can't get the move done through turn number 1. But what about the exit of turn 2? Of course, got 2 lap younger tyres than the Sauber in front of him. Can't get close enough for a move, though. And Violo has gained slightly on Dimas in front. Of course, you've got Valentin's car that's causing that yellow flag there down into turn 3. Violo very late on the brakes as Dimas looking for a move into turn 4. That would have been incredibly risky and could have let Benzoni shoot off down the road and into the horizon. But luckily for Zelenkovic, Dimas decided to let him keep the position and did not go for that move, because that could have cost them a chance of this race victory and would have meant that it would have all been down just for an extra place on the podium. Modesto Mina picks up a 5-second time penalty for corner cutting Matthew Alder, who of course is 4th in the championship. He's going to lose out on big points. Same with Tony Ritchie. So 3rd and 4th in the championship, not scoring points, where the top 2 are in the top 6 here. And Riccardo Benzoni at the moment on course for taking that championship lead here this evening. But of course, we'll have 2 racing laps to go. Will Benzoni be able to hold on to this one, or will Zelenkovic be able to hunt him down and get his first win of the season? He came 2nd last time out, then got a 10-second time penalty after Stewart's inquiries, and will now be hunting for redemption here this evening. He's got a full battery in his Alpine.
Absolutely, but still 8/10 to make up with a huge amount of cars behind him. JST appears to be looking to make a move on Violo. Very, very close indeed. But Violo is going to make a move on Dimas. It's going to be 3 wide into turn 1, but it reduces to 2 wide. Dimas has the inside line on Violo, but Violo isn't able to make the move around the outside, which is giving JST another opportunity into turn 2. It looks like the side-by-side exiting the corner. No, that's Dimas and Violo that were side-by-side exiting the corner and going into turn 4 now after this DRS. How much will this DRS change? It's going to be Dimas ahead of Violo. Has the inside line pushed out to that outer wall just a little bit. No contact made. Clean racing so far. But Violo is going to be round the outside, pushes the Williams to that wall a lot. They're both going to lose time here. It's going to give JST a little bit of an advantage, but Parodi is back up into 5th place after making an inside move on JST. But JST is coming back with the switchback, and that was a brilliant set of moves as now they all settle down for the castle section.
Yes, but crucially, that has dropped them off the back of that top 2, so it's going to be down to Zelenkovic and Benzoni for this race victory, and the rest of the drivers will just have to squabble it out for that last place on the roster. Benzoni 4 attempts clear of Zelenkovic. They both have a huge amount of battery left. For Zelenkovic, it is a full battery. For Benzoni, it is at least 90% as we're about to exit turn 17 for the penultimate time in this Grand Prix. The final tour is about to get underway. Will it be Benzoni to take the championship lead, or will it be Zelenkovic's day to take his maiden win here in F5 this season? It all comes down to this. The McLaren going to be trying his best to allow the Alpine through on this first DRS straight, but will Zelenkovic be wise to that? No, he will not. He's going to go for the move. He could still get the gap here. JST also going for a move on not only Dimas, but Violo as well. There goes the McLaren up into 3rd place. He gets the move done, but further up, it's down to Zelenkovic and Benzoni. This is one of the best opportunities, but don't forget about that run to the line. That could be crucial in deciding who wins this one. Benzoni gets a worse exit than Zelenkovic, but DRS is open for the McLaren. He's not going to be close enough for a move into turn 3. He's just got to stick close and wait all the way till that final straight. The slipstream effect and DRS to the line is so crucial that could allow Benzoni to get a slingshot, to get back by the Alpine driver in front. 4 tenths is the gap. JSD in third. He has come from 15th on the grid to be third at the moment. This could be a brilliant drive from the McLaren man as well. Half a second now separating that top 2 as Andreas Franco gets past Bogdan Moldovan. This is over the final points paying position. Bogdan Moldovan able to get back by though on the Sauber driver as Reyes and Moira are battling for 8th further in front. Now it all comes down to these crucial corners of this Grand Prix for Benzoni and Zelenkovic. Will Zelenkovic be able to redeem himself from last time out in Portugal, getting second place, then a 10-second time penalty added on top of that? This exit is going to be one of the most crucial exits of his season. The Alpine man does get a good drive out of it. I think he will be able to hold on. Heading through the S section now, Benzoni is not getting close enough. So the Alpine man is going to be able to hold on here in Baku after a tricky race. He tried the soft-medium strategy, a virtual safety car, saved his Grand Prix. It's going to be Zelenkovic's day. The redemption from Portugal goes to the Alpine. Who's going to get third? Is it SD or is it Dimas? It's Dimas at the line. The photo finish, and the Williams man manages to snatch it at the death from JSD by 14 thousandths of a second. Wow, what an end to a Grand Prix that was. I was so unlucky there for JSD to not round off his brilliant drive with a podium, but for Zelenkovic, he will be so happy with that one. From the trials and tribulations, the troubles of Portugal to the highs of Baku.
Yeah, absolutely. That was an insane end to the race. I was almost confident that Benzoni was going to have the race win there, but he just didn't quite have the pace on the line. And that photo finish as well between Dimas and JSD as well for the podium position. I think it was Dimas who got that in the end. So very, very good race indeed. And yeah, that was a brilliant end to an exciting Grand Prix. And here is confirmation of how that ended. Zelenkovic does win the Azerbaijani Grand Prix. Benzoni comes second with Dimas in third, rounding out your podium, and very close behind is JSD in fourth. Violo wasn't too far off that, only about 6 tenths in it for fifth. Brody in sixth, Rosenberg seventh, Moira in eighth, Imtiaz in ninth, and Andreas Franco in 10th, all scoring points in this Grand Prix. And then you've got Bogdan Moldova and Tomas Laminen, who were able to get 11th and 12th. And then I believe Modesto Mina was the last finisher in this Grand Prix. And then Matthew Alder, Lewis Valentin, Tope, Ivan Santamaria, Tony Ritchie, and Valentino Bella, and Matthew Bassett, all retiring from this Grand Prix for various reasons. What a race, Max, as I just bring you back now to us. So that was an insane Grand Prix, Max. What an end to an already amazing Grand Prix. That was, it was, you know, there was no dull moments, that's for sure.
No, that was something spectacular, and for Benzoni, it will be such heartbreak there. Really, really unfortunate for him. I think Parodi still finished in 6th place. So if I quickly bring up the points, it'll be 12 to, if I can do my maths correctly, 4, 5, 6. So it'll be 12 to 5. So I think it'll be 3 points now separating Benzoni and Parodi. But Benzoni does bring that championship gap down, and that is going to be so crucial for him. But yeah, it was a brilliant race, and for Zelenkovic to take that one, it's his second win of the season. Sorry, I did say it was his maiden one. It's not. He's his second win, but redeems himself from Portugal, and really just sort of boosts his chances, because he's somewhat still in this championship fight before this evening, 23 points behind Parodi, now gaining 10 on the 11 on Parodi too, so he's now down to a 12-point gap. So it's still very tasty up at the top here, and Zelenkovic could certainly have just put himself into championship contention.
Okay, I'm just going to see if we can get any of our drivers here for an interview. I'd like to certainly hear their perspectives on such a thrilling race. As a viewer and a commentator, that was one of the greatest races I think I've ever watched, especially near the end there. They kept it clean, they kept it tight, and that was certainly a race I enjoyed watching. We're just going to wait momentarily to see if anyone wants an interview, but Max, that was a great experience in F3. Thank you to Josh and Alex for not being here and letting us take over that for you. But yeah, looks like we've got Dimas there, who finished just about 100th of a second ahead of JSD. We're going to bring him in. Would you like to lead the interviews, Max?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Right, Alexander Dimas, congratulations on 3rd position. Very close with JSD, and Max is going to lead your interviews.
Yeah, so Alexander, very, very good job there. Of course, snatching that one at the death. First of all, talk us through that one. How did you find it?
I mean, every week at the beginning of the season went wrong, to be honest. No positions gained, no points, and now finally I show that I can be in the top. P3 is obviously beautiful, especially if with a bad quali being P8, then moving up to P3 with a nice strat. Also just taking away P3 with 14,000 was crazy. I didn't expect that, to be honest, but I'm happy with the points, so I try to continue that to the next week.
Yeah, of course. That race was it as chaotic as you expected it, or was it a bit calmer? Was you expecting a few more safety cars and maybe a few more crashes along the way?
There were some retirements, but in the pits. I mean, there was a virtual safety car, but I expected to be more safety cars. Virtual safety cars, I didn't really expect much, but I expected more chaos, more crashes. There were chaos. I took 2 people because of 2 people fighting, and me and my teammate and someone else were fighting. I overtook them. That was a game change for me as well. But overall, I think they were overly good with driving. I thought there would be more safety cars, to be honest.
Yeah, it certainly was. Still an eventful one, though. Of course, as you say, your first podium of the season and your first real big points haul of the season. Is that going to give you more momentum heading into these final 3 rounds to just see as many points as you possibly can get?
Yeah, I think so. I will be working harder from now on. I can get momentum done. Race pace is there. Only quali pace, and then I will be fine, I think. So yeah, that's it really.
Yeah, and then one final one, of course. You were still within that top 2 all the way, with the top 2 all the way till that final lap. Was you a bit surprised that Violo attacked so early and sort of ruined your chances of at least maybe even getting a 2nd place?
I mean, it wasn't the smartest move, to be honest. He could have just waited. But I mean, that caused me to lose time, of course. But my ERS wasn't that good anyway. So I mean, I didn't really care. I think I would get the P3 because of my ERS and because of the breaking of the DRS between P3 and the top 2. I have got P3. So I mean, I didn't had the chance to fight the P2 and P1. So I'm happy with this, to be honest.
Yeah, well, congratulations, Dimas, and good luck for the rest of the season. Hopefully, for these final 3 rounds, see you back in the interview box.
Yes, you too. Thanks for the commentating. Bye-bye.
Congratulations. And yeah, like Max said, hope to see you next time. So, Max, that was, honestly, the last few laps really took that race away. But I don't think anyone else is going to join us for an interview, which is perfectly fine. It gives us the opportunity now to first off let you know, next week there'll be no PC tiers because Zandvoort has been cancelled due to the return of the official F1 esports, which is happening next week. I think you probably won't see us together on F3 again for a very long time. Hopefully you'll get Josh and Alex back next week, but appreciate the opportunity to fill for them. Is there anything else you think needs mentioning, Max?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, brilliant race. Thank you for the support here for me and Mackie, of course. From F5 to F3, it's a big step up, but I think we did rather well. And yeah, hopefully for Josh and Deathlink, they really just appreciate us stepping in. I mean, I knew Josh was going to be out this week. I didn't know about Deathlink, but yeah, it was a very eventful race. I'm thankful for the opportunity, and yeah, cheers for the support as well to everybody tuning in. It's highly appreciated, and overall, hopefully for F3, it's a good remaining. It's actually 2 rounds, isn't it? Because Zandvoort's been cancelled of the season, and hopefully we could see a brilliant championship battle. So yeah, thank you for watching, and yeah, that's going to be it from me.
Yep, absolutely. So, following this stream, I believe both the F2 and F4 are still ongoing on this channel, so be sure to check it out. And now I'm going to roll the outro. So that's it from me, and that's it from Max as well, and we will hopefully see you on some tier no, not next week, the week after. Don't get it wrong, there's no Thursday streams next week. So yeah, we'll see you then, and goodbye.